Hey, it's Jeremy from optichouse.com, and this is video 3 of the commission sketch piece from Amazing Arizona Comic-Con that I'm working on. And right there, I tried to go in with a little bit of marker, and I figured instead of breaking out green paint, because the characters have glowing green eyes, instead of making it yellow, I tried to paint some yellow in, or just draw in some yellow with the marker, then put in a couple of blue dots, and then go with the yellow on top of it. Because a lot of times when I do commission sketches from comic conventions, I tend to use a lot of highlighters for the colors. So it's really just black and white and highlighter. That way it's like really strong and vibrant. And, the highlighters bleed a lot, but this time it didn't give me the bleed that I hoped for. So I reached into, I have a small watercolor set by my drawing table. It's one of those portable ones, and I did used to take it to conventions regularly, but since I've been using highlighters, I've been bringing it with me less and less. So it's just sitting in the tool tray on the side of my drawing table. I thought, well, I'll just break that out. One of the things is that in trying to work quickly, I don't necessarily want to go out and break out tubes of green paint, because I also went in and did some painting before this in acrylic. So being able to just use a little bit of watercolor that I had laying right there at my hand, at arm's length, definitely was a lot more convenient. It feels a little bit lazy sometimes to make decisions simply by what are the tools that are right in my hand, but in trying to keep things spontaneous and do a quick piece, that sometimes is a motivator for what technique I'm going to use and how I'm going to approach it. Just in the fact that I'm being a little bit more experimental here, and even at this stage, I didn't know necessarily how much of the paint I was going to use, whether I was going to come in with colored pencil on top of the paint. But at this point, I kind of realized that the piece was coming together enough structurally and anatomically that I was like, all right, from here I can just sit down and ink it like I'm inking a regular comic book page. The only tricky part is that even though I set it down and went away and had dinner while I let the background dry somewhat, it was still a tiny bit tacky, so I was concerned that, laying my hand on the cover, I might get some ink on there and pick up some more pigment and lay it down someplace where it didn't belong, like on the female character's eyes, which happened in one of the previous videos. But, it worked out okay. I mean, yeah, I could have just put some paper towel under my hand or a piece of scrap paper. But I thought, oh, hey, let's live large. Let's be adventurous. And I tried to be rather limited in how much detail I put into the female character's body. I wanted to just define her limbs and her muscles without going in and super rendering it. I mean, even with both of them, I didn't go too crazy with the rendering. I even feel like maybe some of the hatching that was on the side of the torso might be a little bit overdone, considering how painterly this is. But again, also having not done any inking for a while, it's also, a challenge, not a challenge, but I'll call it a challenge. To find that nice balance that I'm used to getting between thick and thin lines. Because usually I go in and I put a holding line around the figures, a nice thick bold outline, which I did with these characters. But I also felt like because this piece, I don't really know what it was about this piece, but I felt like I wasn't able to get in there and get a bunch of super thin, tiny detailed lines. Maybe it was because of the way the paint that I was drawing on top of was taking the pigment. But I didn't feel like I could get in there and really get hyper detailed, get super thin lines. So I tried to be more judicious about the lines that I did put down. Sometimes on a comic page, because I'm not working with any paint or pigment underneath it, I can get some pretty fine lines out of the brushes I'm using. So I'm using a 00. Again, it also comes down to just how refined my hand is. As my old friend Carl Ulster used to say, I pencil with a feather and I ink with a chainsaw. So my heavy hand frequently gets me into trouble, and I kind of have to fight that. I'm always fighting that. Anyway, that's it for now. Check out my website, optichouse.com, and go be creative.